Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Brief. I am Julie Bacon, one of the account leads here at Bonfire, and I'm speaking with Erik Lambert, who is founder of Bonfire and just got back from DC. And we are going to talk about what the heck he was doing there. Erik, you want to fill us in?
Yeah, thanks. This is so fun. I had a blast in DC. It was pretty overwhelming, honestly. But I was there to do advocacy, specifically public lands advocacy, fighting for clean air, clean water, public lands. I was there with the Conservation Alliance, which is a group of member businesses, a lot of outdoor industry businesses, but it goes beyond that, who care about conservation and making sure that the places that we like to play are protected. So there was 15 companies. Bonfire Collective was one of them. We, in 2 days, met with 55 members of Congress. And yeah, and all those meetings were about public lands and like trying to secure more protections for public lands. And the timing's been great. I'm sure anyone listening to this knows that there's been a lot of movement in this space. So the timing was really good to be able to have some dialogue with the decision makers.
Yeah. And what typically happens on a day on the Hill?
Yeah, this was my first time doing this, so it was all new to me. But basically the way that this was set up is that there was a day of training. So we had a whole booklet to review in advance as far as what were the issues, some talking points. And then we spent a day working on going a little deeper into that. We actually had Representative Stansbury from New Mexico spend about an hour with us, like giving us strategy on this because she's really passionate on this issue. So that was a real treat. And then once we got into the actual meeting days, it really was like back to back to back to back to back, like running around between the House and Senate buildings, and kind of waiting in the hallway or waiting in like the different Congress or Senator offices and kind of seeing the hive of activity and action, and then meeting for 20 minutes at a time and then running to the next one and maybe catching a snack in between.
So hectic.
Yeah. And then like celebrating at the end of the day and like there was about 35 folks who were doing this fly-in. And so we were able to have 4 different teams having these meetings, and then we could kind of trade notes at the end of the day. It's really fun.
Amazing. And for someone who's never done it before, like how does it work on the Hill? Like, what does your day look like? What are you asking for? Who are you meeting with? Like, can people just show up?
Yeah. Yeah. So like all of this is new to me. I mean, I know that this happens, but I've never done it myself. I've worked with organizations that have had advocacy elements to them for the last 15 years. Bonfire supported organizations who do this work in many ways, but I haven't personally done this before. And really, it's like a First Amendment right. So it's free speech. And there's also like a clause in the First Amendment around the ability to petition for a redress of grievances. So if, as Americans, we don't like what's going on, we have a right to speak up and like have our voices heard. So that's effectively what advocacy is at this stage. And the meetings were in these House and Senate buildings, and occasionally we would be able to meet directly with the representative or the senator, but a lot of times we were meeting with their staff. So we had, across these 4 teams, we had 6 different meetings directly with the legislator, and the other 49 meetings were meeting with the staffers who will then kind of carry that message up to the legislator. And as far as your question around, can anyone do this? Yeah, absolutely. But you kind of need to get on their calendar. You
Right.
can't just show up.
You can't just walk in.
Yeah. And so in the case of the Conservation Alliance, they have a lobbying group that they have on retainer that does set up these meetings for them, works through the strategies, helps organize the fly-ins and do the trainings. And that firm is High Street Strategies. They did a great job and made somebody like me who's new to this feel really welcome and like able to step in and just start engaging.
It's cool that there's so many people there to help with the process for people who have never done it before and educate and give you the tools you need to advocate. That's awesome.
Yeah, and there was a lot of the brands have been doing this for years and years. Some people have done this 15 times. So there's only me and one or two others who had never done it before, and it was awesome. Just not only learning from the lobbying firm, but also learning from the other people who've done this a bunch. And in those meetings, you're like, those meetings 15, 20, 30 minutes long max. And so you have to really kind of tell your story quickly and help create an emotional connection with the staffer or with the congressperson or senator.
Okay, Eric. So how did you first get involved in advocacy work? And what brands did you experience in DC? Like who was there showing up?
Well, like I said, this was my first time in a fly-in, but I've been working with brands who are doing advocacy for a long time. Bonfire supported this in many ways. One of those ways is we've been a member of the Colorado Outdoor Business Alliance for, 8 years maybe. And so we started lobbying at the state level as an organization on public lands work in particular. For the last, I don't know, that was probably started doing that 5 or 6 years ago. We've been a member of Conservation Alliance for 2 years, but their kind of history in the space is legendary, really. And it was super cool to see a lot of the grantees who receive funds from member dues, like business member dues, sitting in those meetings with us. We had folks from Idaho Conservation League talking about dam removal, Salmon State in Alaska talking about the importance of BLM lands and like protecting those. Save the Boundary Waters in Minnesota, Grand Canyon Trust talking about the new monument on the outside of the park. So just everybody was so passionate, like, and so I haven't done it in this way, but like my experience was incredible. And then as far as like the brands I mentioned, there's 15 of us. The brands I was really impressed with were those that have been doing this like a really long time. REI was a founding member of the Conservation Alliance. They had a representation there. Goo, actually, I didn't even know they make all of their goo like in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's my go-to for not bonking.
Yeah, same. And they've been doing this a long time as well. And then it was cool to see Obo's shoes up in Bozeman sent 3 people, right?
Wow.
And so that's cool. Flickr is a member of the Conservation Alliance because, you know, they serve freelance photographers and like those people depend on public lands too. And they had 2 people there. So yeah, there's a wide range of types of brands that are participating in this stuff. And those are the ones that really stood out to me.
Okay. And so if a brand is watching this interview, if an individual is watching it, like why is this a critical time for people to get involved and to step up?
Yeah. Everybody, whether you're a brand or an individual, should be involved with these issues right now. I mean, there's a million things that everyone should be involved in, but the standards that have set the stage for public lands in general for the last 100 years are under attack, and they're under attack from many angles, right? It's not just, oh, there might be this sell-off thing. It's like undoing the precedent of how sell-offs happen, because they do already happen. It's also the funding, right? Like we know park rangers are being let go. It's the quality and quantity of the management of these lands, right? If there's no staff at the BLM then how are those places going to be taken care of? Or if
Mhm.
right, the administration doesn't value those lands, how are they going to be taken care of? And
For
this is
people who are, oh, go ahead.
some of this is just undoing precedents or undoing progress that we've made over the last many decades.
Yeah. And for people who are wondering, like, does my call matter? Does my email matter? Does showing up matter? Like, when you were there, did you witness outcomes specifically that came out of these meetings?
Yeah. So we're not, right? Conservation Alliance brands are not the only ones advocating. There's lots of groups in DC. There's a lot of outdoor industry groups that are advocating for public lands, as well as a bunch of other issues. You know, tariffs are one big one now. But all these things are, you know, like our voices do matter, whether it's a brand or an individual. And that means calling your rep, calling your senator and saying, like, this is important to me, or don't do this, or do this, or thank you for supporting this thing. While I was waiting for the meetings, we would be sitting in these like cramped little offices for a House member, for example, and their staffers are picking up the phone and tallying things and listening to people calling in and recording what people are saying. So I saw that stuff in action.
That's so cool to see that in real time.
Yeah. So it is a real thing. Like I feel like it can be really lonely. I actually I've made many calls from this desk, and it can feel really lonely, like picking up a phone and making a call and being like, well, I hope that message does something. But to see it from the other side, that they're actually listening and
Making an impact. Yeah, that's huge.
And there were some specific wins that we were advocating for that have come out in the last couple of weeks, right? Like when we were there in May, this threat to public land sell-off, where the Amade Malloy amendment in the budget reconciliation bill that was coming out of the House basically was like, hey, we're not going to sell. We should sell a bunch of lands in Nevada and Utah, and we're not going to sell them in the normal way, and we're not going to get any public opinion on it or any stakeholders, including like representatives in those districts, like, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But a big part of what we were saying in those meetings was like, this doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make any sense from so many different perspectives. And that did get removed from the House version of the bill. It's now coming back up as a threat in the Senate version of the bill. But in the Senate version of the bill, also we had that Save the Boundary Waters. Sam Chadwick was with us. And a big part of what we were trying to avoid was having a mine get the opportunity for a mine to like operate adjacent to the boundary waters that would have polluted everything downstream. Like it would have infiltrated a huge area, and that has been stripped from the Senate bill. So that's a huge win that recently happened.
Amazing. Yeah, they've been battling for the boundary waters for so many years.
Yeah. And they've done an incredible job activating hundreds and hundreds. I think they have over 400 local businesses and national businesses that are part of that coalition. It's incredibly powerful.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love them. What about like while you were there, is there anything that struck you as like an aha moment, anything that really clicked for you?
I think two things. One is that, yeah, our voices do matter. I walked away feeling like I had made a small difference, and you add all those up and it makes a big difference. And the other thing was meeting with some of the Republican delegation and hearing them talk about the importance of place was really awesome and powerful, and it gave me hope. Like I remember we met with Chris Benz of Oregon, and he had these massive photos up on his wall of beautiful landscapes all around the state, and he's like, look at that one, like that's my grandfather's like ranch, and that place is incredibly important to me. And like, it's a complicated issue, but you could tell that because he had had that experience, he was interested in making sure that those places were protected. And ultimately, if we can get legislators onto the landscape, onto these landscapes that we're trying to advocate for, like that is really the win, is making sure that they see and feel the connection.
Yeah, that personal connection is everything. Yeah. So talking next steps, if someone would want to get involved in a similar way to like a day on the hill, or even just like supporting some organization that you ran into on the hill, where would they go? What steps should they take?
Yeah, I mean, basically, there's two ways. Like, one way is to, as an individual, pick up the phone and make some calls, or to give to organizations that are speaking up and like putting the work in to make this advocacy happen. Following along with Outdoor Alliance, like a lot of member groups in different recreational categories are part of Outdoor Alliance, but you can kind of follow along with what Outdoor Alliance is seeing and doing. On the climate side, POW has been doing a great job. They're identifying some public lands issues recently as well. So yeah, just being informed by following those kinds of accounts and then making the phone calls or writing in to your representatives, even if they're on the side you want them to be on, like reinforcing that these things matter is a huge way that like we make our voices heard individually, that create collective power. And then as a business, yeah, like same deal. Get involved with the organizations that make sense, right? If your business depends on or cares about land and water conservation, it really is the Conservation Alliance. If your business really is connected to climate, get involved with POW. Outdoor Industry Association, Outdoor Recreation Roundtable. These are industry-wide organizations that are focused on the business and the policies around like trade and setting up good policy overall for our industry. If that's more your jam, they touch on some of this public land stuff too, but like those are the organizations that are really making an impact. And then there's of course like more pure conservation organizations, Wilderness Society, Sierra Club, you name it, that as a brand or an individual you can support. And yeah, these are the things that are fundamental to our ability to have an industry and to have really like public health and wellness and physical and emotional value like out in the world. Like if we lose that, we lose everything.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing all of this. This has definitely like been an educational experience for me. I didn't know much about Days on the Hill. We'll make sure to put in the Action Center in the brief those organizations that you mentioned so people can follow along. And yeah, thanks for getting out there and speaking up for public lands.
Yeah, it was like this amazing, overwhelming experience at first, but by the end, it was so inspiring, and I'll definitely be going back.
Heck yeah. Well, thanks, Erik.
Thank you, Julie. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.